stand before you today because I want you to understand the importance and the meaning of moral courage. And I want you to understand how dangerous it could be for our society when we put together this quality with civic responsibility. When we speak about moral courage, we generally mean to have the courage to stand up for what you think is right, even though it might involve personal danger. In the beginning of the 19th century, an investigation regarding moral courage as a civic responsibility started. Today, we are still debating whether we should put this civic responsibility into practice or not. The law would mean a necessity to step into the breach, to relieve and to help expose people. That is to say, the law indicates that we must show moral courage. To be more specific, you are obligated to intervene physically in crimes or an incident. However, moral courage as a civic responsibility is a non-sustainable and an unclear law that impairs our legislation and also advocates moral courage to be forced on human beings. To begin with, it would be difficult, if not impossible, to determine if a crime has been committed or not if we put this law into practice. Imagine that you are at a party along with 50 other guests and two people get into a fight. Nobody does anything because of fear instead of shock. That is to say, nobody steps in to prevent the incident. They all now committed a crime by not stepping in. Will they then testify against each other if they've all committed a crime? Will they even testify against the two people who got into the fight? Probably not. Moral courage as a civic responsibility results in a non-sustainable law that impairs our legislation. It becomes easier to break the law and more difficult to discover if a crime has been committed. However, I do understand why some people might believe this law could be necessary and good for our society. If we are able to help, shouldn't we do that? Martin Luther King once spoke, "History will have to record that the greatest tragedy of this period of social transition was not the strident clamor of the bad people, but the appalling silence of the good people." However, moral courage as a civic responsibility is not only about silence or saying. It is about action. It is about quick thinking, alertness, smart moves, and rapid movements. You are obligated to intervene physically in crimes in progress and expose yourself to danger. Moral courage as a civic responsibility is possible in theory, but impossible in practice, since it is impossible to limit the witness area of responsibility. Some people are not physically or mentally capable of intervening in crimes. A situation can be understood differently by different kinds of people. To one person, it can be a too dangerous situation, but to another one, it is not. Therefore, you cannot say that they are treated equally in the eyes of the law. In today's society, there are cautious people and risk takers. There are old people who limp, and there are young people who run. There are physically strong people, and there are physically weak people. Nothing says that we are all capable of handling in the same way. Everybody is not strong as a horse, and everybody is not brave as a lion. When are you supposed to intervene in crimes? Who decides whether it is too dangerous to yourself or not? Where do we draw the line? All questions with non-concrete answers results in an unclear law which makes it difficult to constantly follow it. Since people have different kinds of capacity of helping, it is impossible to limit the witness area of responsibility. Consequently, it impairs our legislation. Moreover, brotherly human feeling and moral courage cannot be forced. Moral courage is a desirable and admirable quality that should come out automatically. It is a quality that should come from the heart, not by obedience and duty. By putting this civic responsibility into practice, the people who actually possess this quality will be forgotten. Moral courage can never come from outside. It has to come from our inside. People who intervene in crimes only by obeying the laws do not show moral courage or bravery, only obedience and duty. In conclusion, moral courage as a civic responsibility results in an impairment of our legislation. Also, the term moral courage as a civic responsibility is deceptive, since it is in reality very little about moral courage. Moral courage should be about moral will and motivation, not about legal obligation. It is not mankind who should lead moral courage. It is the moral courage that should lead mankind. And for the greater good of mankind, we should not put moral courage as a civic responsibility into practice. Thank you.